My wife died on a Tuesday. I washed her coffee mug and put it in the dish rack. That was the last normal thing I did. Because that evening, the funeral director handed me a sealed envelope, and inside was a confession my wife had been hiding for 38 years. She had a son I never knew about. A son who was standing in the back row at her funeral, crying harder than anyone in the room. The last car left at 4:47. I know because I was standing at Margaret's kitchen window, the one she always stood at, watching taillights disappear down Oakfield Road. That was the minute I became alone in a house I'd shared with someone for 38 years. The funeral had been that morning. Big turnout. Donna handled everything. My sister turns grief into a project. She told the caterer where to set up, told me when to stand, when to sit. There was a man in the back row I couldn't place. Tall, mid-40s, standing alone near the exit. His eyes were red, not the polite kind, the kind from crying hard before you walked in. I figured he was one of Margaret's former students. Didn't think about him again. After the burial, after Donna labeled the casseroles with a Sharpie and stacked my refrigerator, everyone left. Except Glenn Massey. Glenn runs the funeral home. Third generation. Quiet man. He stood by the front door with his hands folded. "Harold, do you have a moment?" He took out an envelope. White. Sealed. My name in Margaret's handwriting. The left-leaning letters. The extra crossbar on the H, like a little fence. "Your wife asked me to give this to you. She was very clear about the timing." "When did she give you this?" "Several months ago." He nodded and left. I put the envelope on the kitchen table. Margaret's mug was still in the dish rack, blue, chipped handle. She'd used it her last morning home. I'd washed it after the ambulance and hadn't touched it since. I sat across from the envelope, didn't open it, made coffee, wiped the counter, stalled. Phone rang at 6:15. Donna. "How are you holding up?" "Fine." Then she said something that made me set my coffee down. "If anyone left you anything today, papers, letters, you should let me look through it first." I looked at the envelope. "Nobody left me anything, Donna." "Good." But the way she said it wasn't relief. It sounded like a door closing. How did she know? Glenn handed it to me after everyone had gone. Donna left 20 minutes before. I tore the envelope open. 2 pages, cream stationery, blue ink. "Harold, I need to tell you something I should have told you 38 years ago, on our very first night together." My hands shook. She was 19, pregnant. Her parents made the decision, not Margaret. The baby given to a relative in another state. No agency, no paperwork. The way things were handled in small towns in the late 70s. A boy. She held him 45 minutes before they took him. Memorized his hands. "Long fingers," she wrote. Even then. I stopped, looked at Margaret's mug. Her long fingers always wrapped around it, both hands, the way she held everything she loved. Like she was afraid it would be taken. 38 years she carried this, sending money monthly. A separate account, tracking him, schools, jobs, addresses. Then the line that made me stand up. "He is closer than you think, Harold, and he is good. Not far away, not another state. Closer." She signed it, "All my love, M." I grabbed my car keys, 10 at night, still in my funeral suit. I drove to Donna's, didn't call ahead. She wasn't going to be surprised. Donna opened the door before I knocked, bathrobe, arms crossed. The porch light behind her made her look like a silhouette guarding a doorway. "It's 10 o'clock, Harold." I didn't say anything. I walked past her into the kitchen and put the letter on her table. She looked at the envelope, at Margaret's handwriting, and she didn't look surprised. She started crying before she read a single word. That's when I knew. How long? She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. Harold, how long have you known? 15 years. 15 years. I'd been married to Margaret for another 23 years after Donna found out. Holidays, birthdays, Sunday dinners at this table. Donna sitting across from my wife, passing the potatoes, knowing what I didn't. She told me during that health scare, Donna said. The one in 2008. She thought she might not make it, and she needed someone to know. She made me swear. You should have told me. I was protecting you. From what? She looked at me the way she's looked at me my entire life, like I was still her little brother who couldn't handle the dark. You're not strong enough for this, Harold. I stood up so fast the chair scraped the floor. I've never raised my voice at my sister, not once in 67 years. That night I did. I don't remember what I said. I remember the sound of it, loud and broken in her small kitchen. I remember her flinching. I remember my coffee sitting on the table, untouched, still steaming. I left without finishing it, drove home, sat in the driveway for 20 minutes with the engine off. Then went inside and started looking at my house the way you look at a crime scene. Everything was the same. Everything was different. I walked through the rooms slowly, the bedroom, the hallway, Margaret's little office where she kept her school things. I wasn't searching yet, not really. I was just seeing. The kitchen table. Margaret always set it for 3, even after Ruth moved out. I'd asked her about it once, years ago. She said she liked the symmetry. I thought it was a quirk. The kitchen window. She stood there every morning, coffee in hand, looking out at the yard. I thought she liked the light, the way it came through the oaks in the morning. In the bedroom closet, on the top shelf behind her winter sweaters, a shoebox. Written on the side, in her handwriting, old teaching materials. I'd seen it 100 times, never opened it. Why would I? She was a librarian. She kept things. I didn't open it now either. Not yet. Something told me to wait. That whatever was in that box would change things again. And I wasn't ready for things to change again. Instead, I went to her desk. The oak one we bought at an estate sale in 1994. She kept it organized the way she kept the library. Everything labeled, everything in its place. 3 drawers on the right side. The bottom one was locked. I found the key in her jewelry box, under a tangle of necklaces she never wore. Inside the locked drawer, a manila folder, no label. I opened it. Bank statements, dozens of them. A savings account at a bank I'd never heard of, in a town 40 minutes away. Monthly transfers going back years. The amounts were small at first, $50, $75, then more, $200, $300, by the last few years, $500 a month. I did the math in my head. Decades of transfers, tens of thousands of dollars. Every deposit was on the 15th of the month, regular as a paycheck, or regular as someone who spent 34 years at the post office and understood that consistency is how you build something invisible. She learned that from me. I sat at her desk with the folder open and the house silent around me. It was past midnight. The oak tree outside the window threw shadows across the ceiling. Margaret hadn't just kept a secret. She'd built a system. Quiet, disciplined, meticulous. The way she organized the library shelves. The way she tracked overdue books. The way she remembered every birthday. She'd run a second life with the same precision she ran her first one. And that scared me more than anything in the letter. The shoebox was still on the top shelf. Old teaching materials. I pulled it down the next morning, sat on the bed, lifted the lid. No teaching materials. Inside, a prepaid phone. Cheap. The kind you buy at a gas station with cash. One saved contact. The letter J. I stared at it. Every movie, every crime show teaches you what a hidden phone means. A secret phone in a shoebox in the back of a closet means one thing. I called the number. No answer. Called the next day. Silence. Third day, the line was dead. Disconnected. I drove to Massey & Sons. Glenn was in his office. Same calm, same stillness. I put the phone on his desk. "Did you know about this?" He looked at it. Didn't touch it. "No." "She was coming to you for 7 months. Private meetings. You and my wife, alone, talking about things she never told me. And now I find a hidden phone. So I'm going to ask you once, what was your relationship with Margaret?" Glenn didn't flinch. "She attended a grief support group here, for people facing terminal diagnoses. We became friends, that's all." "Friends don't hide phones." "No," he said quietly, "they don't." Then he said something that stopped me cold. "She didn't hide him from you to hurt you, Harold. She hid him because she believed the truth would end your marriage. She thought your marriage was fragile. Our marriage was not fragile." "I know, but she believed it was, and that belief cost her everything." I took the phone and left. That night, I sat in the garage, surrounded by Margaret's boxes, papers on every surface, printouts, notes, maps. I'd found printed MapQuest directions to a town 3 hours away, the same route, printed over and over, dated across years. The phone, the money, the secret trips, the hidden account. I picked up a photograph from one of the boxes, Margaret at 20. A smile I'd never seen in person, wide, unguarded, aimed at someone outside the frame. On the back, a date, 1 year before we met. There was a whole Margaret before me, a whole life I knew nothing about. And I was no longer sure the woman I buried was the woman I married. I stopped eating on the 3rd day. Not on purpose, I just forgot. The way you forget to water a plant when the house is on fire. The kitchen table disappeared under paper, bank statements, MapQuest printouts, notes I'd scribbled at 2 a.m., names, dates, amounts, questions with no answers. I'd pulled everything from Margaret's desk, her closet, her office, every drawer, every folder, every envelope. I was looking for J. I searched online, typed the phone number into every database I could find, paid $20 for a people search website that gave me nothing. Drove to the bank listed on the statements. They wouldn't tell me anything without Margaret's death certificate, which I didn't have yet. Dead ends, all of them. I stopped going to church, stopped answering the phone, stopped checking the mail, which, for a man who spent 34 years at the post office, tells you something. Ruth showed up on a Thursday night. My daughter is a nurse in Richmond, 2 hours away. She doesn't come without calling first. She's organized like her mother. So when I heard the front door open at 9:30 on a weeknight, I knew something was wrong. She found me in the garage, boxes everywhere, one bare light bulb, papers spread across the concrete floor. I was sitting in Margaret's old reading chair, the one I'd dragged out there because the kitchen had run out of surfaces. "Dad," she stood in the doorway. I saw her eyes move across the garage, the papers, the boxes, the empty coffee cups. Me. I saw her see me the way a nurse sees a patient, assessing, measuring, afraid of what the numbers say. "What is this?" "Just going through Mom's things." "At 10 o'clock at night? In the garage?" I didn't answer. She sat on an overturned crate and stayed for an hour. She didn't push. She made me eat a sandwich. She washed the dishes that had piled up in the sink, 4 days' worth. She called Donna from the car before she left. I know because Donna called me the next morning with the same careful voice. "He's just processing," Donna told her. I heard it later from Ruth. "Your mother had some old personal matters. He found some papers. Give him time." Half-truths, Donna's specialty. After Ruth left, I went back to Margaret's nightstand. I'd searched it twice already, but something made me try again. I pulled the drawer all the way out and reached into the back. An envelope, unsealed. Inside, a birthday card. The kind you buy at a drugstore, with flowers on the front and a printed verse inside. But below the verse, in Margaret's handwriting, "I hope 44 is your best year yet. I'm always watching over you. M." No name on the envelope. No address. Never sent. Or maybe a copy of one she did send. I did the math. Margaret was 64 when she died. If her son was born when she was 19, he'd be 45 now. This card was from last year. 44 years old. A man. Somewhere close, if the letter was telling the truth. I sat on the edge of the bed and started going through every man I knew who was roughly 45. Neighbors. Church members. The guy at the hardware store. The mechanic who fixed my truck last spring. The list was longer than I expected, and somewhere on it, maybe, was the son my wife had hidden for 38 years. The prepaid phone rang on a Sunday morning. I'd kept it charged. Don't ask me why. Instinct, maybe. The same instinct that made me check the mailbox every day for 34 years, even on holidays. Some habits don't need reasons. I was in the garage, still sorting through Margaret's boxes, when the screen lit up. No caller ID, just a number I didn't recognize. I answered. "Hello?" Silence. Then breathing. Then a man's voice, careful, measured, like someone reading from a script they'd rehearsed 100 times. "Is this Harold?" "Who is this?" Another pause. Longer. "My name is James. I think your wife may have been someone important to me." My chest went tight. Not pain. Pressure. Like the air in the garage had thickened. "How did you get this number?" "She gave it to me, years ago. She said to call it only if something happened to her. I saw the obituary last week." I sat down on the crate. My legs decided for me. "What was she to you?" "I don't want to do this over the phone," he said. "Can I come see you?" "No. Please. I've waited a long time." I said no. I hung up. My hands were steady. My heart wasn't. I drove to the church that afternoon. Not for the service, it was already over. I went for Pastor Linda. She was in her office, sorting hymnals. Small woman, 60-something. She'd known Margaret for 20 years. They ran the food pantry together every Thanksgiving. "Harold, it's good to see you out. Did Margaret ever talk to you about a son?" Linda's hands stopped moving, just for a second. Then she picked up another hymnal and placed it on the stack. "I'm her pastor, Harold. There are things—" "She's dead, Linda. Confidentiality died with her." That was cruel. I knew it when I said it. Linda flinched but didn't look away. "She came to me once, about 3 years ago. She was struggling with a decision, whether to tell you something. She didn't say what. I told her that truth and timing aren't always the same thing. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have." I left, sat in the parking lot. The oak trees along the church fence were dropping leaves, orange and red, piling up against the curb like they had nowhere else to go. Margaret came to Linda 3 years ago, 3 years before she died, before the diagnosis. She was already thinking about telling me, already circling the truth, like someone walking the edge of a cliff, looking down, stepping back. 3 years. And she still couldn't do it face to face. I got home at dusk. There was a truck in my driveway. Blue, older model. A man leaning against the tailgate. Tall, mid-40s, hands in his jacket pockets. I recognized him before I turned off the engine. The back row, the funeral, the red eyes. He straightened up when I got out of the car. We stood 10 feet apart in the fading light. He looked at me the way you look at a locked door when you're not sure you have the right key. "I'm sorry," he said. "I know you said no, but I drove 3 hours, and I couldn't make myself turn around." I looked at his face, his jaw, his eyes. Then I looked at his hands, long fingers. I didn't invite him in. He came in anyway, not pushy, just inevitable. The way water finds a crack. He stood in the hallway and looked around the way people do when they're seeing something they've only imagined. His eyes moved across the photos on the wall. Margaret and me at Myrtle Beach, Ruth's graduation, Christmas 2004. He stopped at one. Margaret in the garden, summer, maybe 10 years ago, kneeling in the dirt with her gloves off, smiling up at the camera. "She looks happy," he said. She was. We sat at the kitchen table. Margaret's chair was between us, empty. Neither of us touched it. He told me his story. Raised by Carl and his wife in West Virginia. Good childhood, he said, but he always knew. The way adopted kids know, not the facts, but the feeling. Something missing. A shape in the room that nobody talks about. He found Margaret when he was 30. She found him first, actually, through the money. The monthly deposits led him backward, through the bank, through Carl, through the family. He called her. She cried for 20 minutes before she said a word. "We talked every month after that," he said. "The phone, the prepaid one, that was hers. She bought it so the calls wouldn't show up on your bill." 15 years, monthly calls, a whole relationship running parallel to mine, invisible, like a second set of tracks under the same road. Did she ever talk about me? All the time. He looked at his hands. She said you were the most decent man she'd ever known. She said telling you was the one thing she couldn't do, because losing your respect would have killed her faster than the cancer. I looked at his hands, too, couldn't help it. Long fingers. The same fingers I'd watched wrap around a blue mug every morning for 38 years. He had her jaw. Her way of pausing before speaking, that half second where the words line up behind the teeth before they come out. He even tilted his head the same way she did when he was listening. My wife was sitting across from me in the body of a stranger. The front door opened. No knock. Donna. She saw James and stopped. Her face went through 3 expressions in 2 seconds. Surprise, recognition, fear, in that order. "What are you doing here?" she said. Not to me, to him. James looked at her calmly. "She told me you'd be the difficult one." Donna turned to me. "Harold, you don't know what you're getting into. This man—" "Sit down, Donna." She didn't sit. She stood in the doorway with her arms crossed, blocking the exit like she was guarding something. And I realized she wasn't protecting me. She was protecting the secret. The version of Margaret she'd agreed to keep. The lie they'd built together, brick by brick, for 15 years. "He's her son," I said. "You don't know that." James reached into his jacket and pulled out a photograph, set it on the table. A young woman holding a baby, 19 years old. A smile I'd seen once before, in a photo from Margaret's boxes. Wide, unguarded, aimed at someone she loved. Donna looked at it and sat down. Nobody spoke for a long time. Donna left at midnight. Didn't say goodbye, just stood up, took her purse, and walked out. The door clicked shut behind her like a period at the end of a sentence. James left 20 minutes later. He wrote his number on the back of a grocery receipt and put it next to Margaret's mug. "Whenever you're ready," he said. I wasn't sure I'd ever be ready. Ruth called the next morning. Early, 6:15, nurse hours. "Aunt Donna says there was a man at your house last night." Fast. Donna worked fast. There was. "She says he's claiming to be Mom's son. Dad, is that true?" The silence on the line was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. I could feel Ruth reshaping her entire childhood in real time. Every Christmas, every birthday, every moment she thought she was the only child. It's true. She didn't cry. Ruth doesn't cry, she goes quiet, the way a lake goes still before a storm. "I'm coming this weekend," she said, and hung up. She came on Saturday, found the letter in 10 minutes. I'd left it on Margaret's desk. She read it standing up, one hand on the back of the chair, the other holding the pages like they might bite. When she finished, she set it down carefully, too carefully. She was sending him money. Yes. Our whole lives. Yes. While she was packing my school lunches and driving me to piano and telling me I was her whole world, she had another child. A first child. The real one. Ruth. Was I the replacement dad? The word hit me like a fist. Replacement. I saw it land in the room and stay there, heavy, taking up space. You were never... She kept him secret for 38 years. She tracked him. She called him. She sent money. She never did any of that for me because she didn't have to. I was right here. I was the one she got to keep. The consolation prize. That's not what you were. Then why does it feel like it? I didn't have an answer. Because the truth was, sitting in that kitchen, surrounded by Margaret's secrets, I'd asked myself the same question. Not about Ruth. About me. Was our marriage the life Margaret wanted, or the life she settled for? Was I the man she chose, or the man she ended up with after the choice was taken away? Ruth stayed the night. We didn't talk about it again. She made dinner, pasta, nothing fancy, and we ate in front of the TV like we used to when she was 12, and Margaret was working late at the library. After Ruth went to bed, I sat at the kitchen table with James's number on the grocery receipt. I picked up the phone. Not the prepaid one. Mine. I dialed. He answered on the first ring, like he'd been waiting by the phone for 30 years. "It's Harold," I said. "I think we should talk. In person. Properly." "Name the place." "Mel's Diner, Route 9, tomorrow, 10 o'clock. "I'll be there." I hung up and looked at Margaret's chair. Empty. The way it would be for the rest of my life. But maybe, it didn't have to stay empty in the way I thought. Part 8. The Sun. Mel's Diner hasn't changed since 1987. Same red booths. Same coffee that tastes like it was brewed during the Reagan administration. I got there at 9:30 because 34 years at the post office taught me that early is on time and on time is late. I took the booth by the window, ordered coffee, watched the parking lot. He pulled in at 9:52. Blue truck. He sat in the cab for 3 minutes before getting out. I counted. He was rehearsing. I could see his lips moving. Practicing what to say to a man he'd never had a conversation with over a table. He slid into the booth across from me. Ordered coffee. Black. Same as mine. "Thank you for this," he said. "Don't thank me yet." We sat with our cups for a while. Two men who didn't know how to start. Then I asked the question I'd been carrying since the letter. "Who's your father?" He looked out the window. His name was David Brennan. He and my mother dated for about a year in college. He died in a car accident when I was 2, before I was given to Carl. I never knew him. Did Margaret love him? She never said, but I think so. She kept a photo of him in the back of the prepaid phone case. I saw it once. A photo. Hidden inside a hidden phone, inside a hidden shoebox. Layers of secrets, each one wrapped around the next, like nesting dolls. What do you do, James? I'm a carpenter. Custom furniture, mostly. Tables, chairs, bookshelves. He builds things with his hands, long-fingered hands, Margaret's hands. You were at the funeral, I said. Back row. You were crying. I just lost the only person who ever made me feel like I wasn't a mistake. The waitress refilled our coffee. Neither of us touched it. He told me about the calls. 15 years of monthly conversations, always on the 15th, always at noon, always exactly 30 minutes. Margaret was precise about it. She'd tell him about the weather, about the library, about Ruth's nursing career. She'd ask about his work, his health, his life. She never visited, too risky, she said. Someone might see. She talked about you the most, he said. How you sorted the mail the same way every morning. How you kept the lawn perfect. How you fell asleep in your chair every Sunday watching golf. He knew things about me. Small things. Private things. The kind of details you only know if someone who loves you has been describing you to someone else for 15 years. She wanted to tell you, he said. Every single call, she'd say, maybe this month. Maybe I'll tell Harold this month. And every call, she didn't. Why not? She said you'd built your whole life on trust. That you were the kind of man who believed people were exactly who they said they were. She couldn't stand being the one to take that from you. I looked at my coffee, cold now. She took it anyway, I said, just slower. He nodded. We sat there for another hour. He showed me photos on his phone, his workshop, a dining table he'd built from reclaimed oak, his apartment. A small life, a quiet one, built with the same precision Margaret brought to everything. When we stood to leave, he reached into his jacket. She asked me to give you this, after we met. She made me promise to wait. A small envelope. Inside, a photograph. Margaret and James, standing on a porch I didn't recognize. She was maybe 55. He was maybe 35. They were standing side by side, not touching, but close, both smiling. On the back, in her handwriting, "My 2 lives, 1 photo." I put it in my shirt pocket and drove home. I went back to Glenn, not angry this time, just tired. The kind of tired that lives in your bones and doesn't leave after sleep. He was closing up when I got there, lights half off. He saw me and didn't look surprised. He never looks surprised. Occupational hazard, I guess. You knew more than you told me, I said. He sat down behind his desk, folded his hands. Yes. How much more? Margaret and I talked every week for the last 7 months of her life. She told me everything, James. The money, the phone. She was trying to decide how to tell you. She ran out of time. She didn't run out of time. She had 38 years. She had 38 years of fear, Harold. That's not the same as time. He opened his desk drawer and took out a folder. Inside, a letter. Not to me, to James. A copy, in Margaret's handwriting. If Harold can't forgive me, be patient. He's slow with change, but he always gets there. He's the best man I know. Give him time. She was managing us from the grave. Still organizing, still placing every book on the right shelf. She asked me to watch over both of you, Glenn said. You and James. She was afraid you'd destroy each other, or destroy yourselves. And Donna? Glenn paused. First time I'd ever seen him hesitate. Donna tried to stop the letter. She came to me 2 days before the funeral, asked me not to give it to you, said it would ruin Margaret's memory. What did you say? I said Margaret's memory wasn't mine to protect. It was yours. I drove home. The photograph from James was on the kitchen table. Margaret and her son on that unknown porch. I propped it against the salt shaker and sat across from it. 2 lives, 1 photo, and me on the outside of both. But that wasn't true anymore. I was inside now, inside the secret, inside the mess, inside the truth Margaret had been too afraid to share. I picked up the phone and called Ruth. I met him, I said. Your brother. Silence. Then, very quietly, is he good? Margaret's words. From the letter. He is good. Yeah, I said, he is. I called James on a Tuesday, told him to come for dinner on Sunday. He said okay, and went quiet. The kind of quiet where someone is trying not to cry. Then I called Ruth. She said she'd come. Didn't hesitate. Nurse instinct. When someone needs you, you show up. Then I called Donna. She didn't answer the first time, or the second. On the third call, she picked up. Sunday dinner, I said. 6 o'clock. All of us. Harold, I'm not asking Donna. She came. Sunday. I cleaned the house for the first time in weeks. Washed the dishes. Cleared the kitchen table, all the papers, the bank statements, the MapQuest printouts. Put them in a box. Put the box in the closet. Not hiding them, just putting them away. I set the table for 4. James arrived first. He brought a cutting board he'd made, walnut, hand-oiled, smooth as glass. He set it on the counter without a word. Ruth came next. She stood in the doorway and looked at James for a long time. Then she walked over and shook his hand. Not a hug, not yet, but a start. Donna arrived last. She sat in her usual chair and folded her hands in her lap. She didn't look at James. Not once during the first 20 minutes. I made Margaret's recipe, pot roast, the one she made every Sunday for 30 years. I'm not a cook. I burned the carrots, and the potatoes were too soft. Nobody complained. We ate mostly in silence, forks on plates, ice in glasses, the sounds of a family learning how to sit in the same room. After dinner, Ruth asked James about his work. He showed her photos of his furniture. She asked real questions, joints, wood types, finishes. She was trying. He was trying. That was enough. Donna spoke once, near the end. She looked at James and said, "She loved you. I want you to know that. Even when I told her it was dangerous, she never stopped." James nodded. I know. I washed the dishes after everyone left. Alone again. But a different kind of alone. The kind that has people in it, just not in the room. I reached into the dish rack and picked up Margaret's mug. Blue, chipped handle. I filled it with coffee and stood at her window. The oak trees were bare now. November. The yard looked bigger without the leaves. Open, exposed, nothing hiding. I took a sip from her mug, held it with both hands, the way she held everything she loved.